Forget the outdated notion that wealth is inherently sinful. The Bible condemns laziness, not prosperity. Millions struggle not because God wills it, but because they lack the grit to persevere. That childhood mantra, "Money is the root of all evil," or the camel through the needle's eye parable, instills unnecessary guilt around abundance. Scripture slams sloth, greed, and aimlessness, not wealth itself. True prosperity is the fruit of hard work, smart choices, and unwavering dedication. Proverbs 10 verse 4 puts it plainly, "A diligent hand makes you rich, not luck or divine favor." How many times have you poured your heart into something, only to quit just short of the finish line? How many unfinished projects do you blame on a lack of divine intervention, when really, it was a lack of persistence? That premature surrender traps millions in a cycle of scarcity. Prayer alone isn't enough, faith without action is just wishful thinking. The Bible teaches that diligent sowing yields a bountiful harvest. I know this firsthand. Dropping out of school led to soul-crushing dead-end jobs, changing tires, greasing cars, cleaning factories. It was demoralizing. I questioned my future, felt directionless, and feared being stuck in poverty. The problem wasn't the work itself, it was my warped self-perception. The Bible states that a diligent hand enriches, but I didn't grasp that wealth is also mental, not just material. Many confuse humility with mediocrity. Humility acknowledges God's hand in all things, while mediocrity settles for less, believing striving for more is somehow wrong. How often have you felt guilty for aiming higher, for wanting a better life? Have you realized how that self-imposed limitation restricts your choices? It's as if money were a sin, when in reality it's a multiplier of your existing potential. Kind people who prosper have more resources to give, more capacity to serve, creating a ripple effect of positive change. Scientific research backs up the biblical message. Studies show consistent, disciplined individuals, even without exceptional talent, consistently outperform others in the long run. It's the principle of sowing and reaping, not immediate genius, but daily perseverance. While many give up before seeing the fruits of their labor, those who persist experience abundance that others deem impossible. I remember my time with Toronto Fire Services. Stable, secure, what many would call a blessing. Yet, I felt a deep void, a sense of unfulfillment. Then I read Think and Grow Rich, and everything shifted. I saw the harmony between that book and the Bible. The message was clear: faith demands action, wealth is the byproduct of purposeful persistence. Understand this, prosperity isn't accidental, it's intentional. The Bible doesn't criticize the righteous acquisition of wealth, it praises wise stewardship and the multiplication of gifts. The mistake lies in inaction, in living as if wanting more is inherently wrong. Perhaps you've done this unconsciously, shelved your dreams believing God disapproves of your ambition. Ask yourself, did your Creator give you the capacity to think, dream, create only to live a life of bare minimums? Wealth isn't solely material, it's spiritual, emotional, and mental too, with material wealth being a crucial part of the equation, allowing for expansion. Scarcity limits, confines, suffocates. The Bible condemns laziness, procrastination, paralyzing fear. Perhaps the greatest sin is burying the potential God gifted you to cultivate. The core lesson is clear: wealth and perseverance go hand in hand. No harvest without sowing, no abundance without action. If you gave up prematurely, it wasn't God who abandoned you, it was you who abandoned your harvest. The Bible says, "The diligent hand makes you rich." What's your choice now? How many dreams lie dormant due to self-doubt? Many fail not from lack of ability, but from lack of persistence. The world is brimming with untapped talent, while others, without exceptional gifts, have achieved greatness simply by refusing to quit. Talent opens doors, but persistence keeps you inside. Research reveals that 92% of people abandon their New Year's resolutions before 3 months. That means only 8 out of 100 see it through. What sets those few apart? It's not superior intelligence or supernatural gifts, but the willingness to keep going when most have given up. Persistence transforms the impossible into the possible. Thomas Edison failed over 1,000 times before inventing the light bulb. 1,000 times. Imagine if he'd quit at attempt 999. the world would be in darkness. The Bible calls this perseverance, believing even without immediate results, understanding that the harvest doesn't arrive on the same day as the sowing. I know this from experience. Starting my cleaning business, I lacked formal training, business acumen, or confidence in success. Many laughed, called me naive. But I held firm to one idea: if I persisted, results would follow. And they did. In under a year, the business generated over $100,000, unthinkable for someone who dropped out of school with no prospects. But quitting is easy. How many times have you started something, only to be derailed by the first hurdle? Maybe you launched a business and lacked clients in the early months. Perhaps you started saving, only to have an emergency wipe out your funds. Maybe you tried to improve your spiritual life, only to fall back into old habits. Most people give up too soon. Persistence means pressing on even without visible progress, knowing that the harvest is inevitable for those who don't abandon their fields. Galatians 6 verse 9 reinforces this: let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. That's persistence. It's planting, watering, nurturing, even when the field seems barren. It's believing the harvest will come in its own time, and your role is to stay the course. Looking back, the difference between the aimless youth and the man who built an empire of knowledge and personal growth was the decision not to quit. I could have stayed with the fire service, secure, stable, but empty. I could have abandoned my business at the first sign of trouble. But each time I persevered, I realized persistence becomes an invisible, almost spiritual force that aligns the universe in your favor. If you truly want to change your life, understand this: talent is merely a starting point, never a guarantee of success. What defines your destiny is your willingness to keep going when everyone else has stopped. Persistence is faith in action, the fuel that transforms visions into reality. And with each act of persistence, even without immediate results, you build not just wealth, but character. Many say they don't want to be rich, just to have enough. But deep down, fear lurks. Fear of failure, of not deserving, of judgment. For many, money isn't just numbers, it's a mirror reflecting their deepest beliefs. How often have you felt uncomfortable asking for a raise? How many opportunities have you missed because the fear of losing seemed greater than the chance of gaining? This fear traps millions in mediocrity. I felt that fear when I left the fire service. I had job security, a stable routine, and many said I was foolish to quit. The most common refrain was, "What if it doesn't work out?" Fear paralyzed me. It felt like abandoning the certain for the uncertain. But then I realized, security can also be a prison. Stability was the chain preventing my growth. Studies show that people afraid of handling money are 80% more likely to be in debt. Because by fearing money, you avoid learning about it. They postpone decisions, ignore numbers, and enter a cycle of disorganization and scarcity. Have you noticed how some people avoid opening their bank statements or looking at their debts? It's as if ignoring the problem solves it. But that's just fear disguised as protection. Fear manifests in other ways. How many have thought, if I get rich, I'll lose friends, my family will criticize me, people will envy me. This mindset creates an unconscious rejection of prosperity. The person wants to improve, but resists, believing the cost is too high in relationships and social approval. There's an internal struggle: one side wants to prosper, the other sabotages. I remember my first substantial paycheck. It was a victory, but also a weight. I wondered, do I deserve this? Will people judge me? I realized it wasn't the money itself that scared me, but my beliefs about it. Money has no personality, it's neither good nor evil. It simply amplifies who we are. If you're generous, more money will make you more generous. If you're responsible, you'll be more responsible. But if you're fearful, insecure, or guilty, money will only intensify those feelings. 2 Timothy 1 verse 7 says, "For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of self-discipline." Fear was never part of the plan. It's learned and can be unlearned by replacing it with faith and action. Persistence is the antidote to fear, because by insisting, even when insecure, you prove yourself greater than your fears. Everything that's natural today was once terrifying: riding a bike, driving, public speaking. At first, it seemed impossible. But by confronting the fear and practicing, what once paralyzed became part of your life. Money is the same. It only becomes natural when you confront it, learn to manage it, and refuse to let fear dictate your choices. The fear of money stagnates people, but the courage to confront it opens doors. I experienced this when I left security to create something new. It was terrifying at first, but liberating afterward. Fear will be present, but it doesn't have to be the driver of your life. Its role is to remind you that you are stepping outside your comfort zone. The rest depends on your faith, your persistence, and your willingness to accept that abundance isn't a sin, it's a right, a responsibility. The Bible says, "To whom much is given, much will be required." Wealth isn't just a blessing, it's a character test. Money doesn't transform anyone, it only amplifies what's already there. If someone is generous, with more resources, they'll be even more generous. But if they are greedy, selfish, or reckless, money will multiply those traits. That's why so many amass fortunes and lose them, not from lack of ability, but from lack of wisdom in managing it. Think of Mike Tyson. He was one of the greatest boxers, amassed millions. But without understanding management, discipline, and the persistence to learn, he ended up broke. Talent took him to the top, but his character wasn't sustained. This shows it's not how much you earn, but how you handle what you earn. I remember my first large paycheck. I was used to low wages, temporary jobs, just scraping by. Suddenly, I had a sum that would change my reality. And I understood the challenge wasn't acquiring the money, but what I would do with it. I could have spent it all on luxuries, as many do, trying to impress or compensate for years of scarcity. But I asked myself a question that changed my course: what will this decision say about me 10 years from now? That's the kind of reflection wealth demands. It puts a mirror in front of you and asks, who are you really? How many people win the lottery and a few years later are back in debt, sometimes worse off? This doesn't happen by chance, but because they weren't emotionally and mentally prepared to handle abundance. Wealth is a daily test of discipline, vision, and purpose. Science confirms this. Studies show that people who receive large unexpected sums are more likely to lose it all in under 5 years unless they've developed a responsible financial mindset. It's not the money that brings prosperity, but how you think and act in its presence. When the Bible talks about multiplying talents, it's teaching this principle. It's not enough to receive, you must manage, grow, and generate positive impact. The servant who buried his talent was condemned not because he lost money, but because he lacked the courage to take responsibility for multiplying it. Inaction is as serious a mistake as wastefulness. I learned that wealth demands conscious choices daily. Every financial decision is a character decision. You can spend everything to project a life that isn't yours, or you can use your resources to build something lasting, serving not only yourself but those around you. That's true responsibility, understanding that prosperity isn't just accumulation, it's about how you use what you've received. Ultimately, wealth is a test everyone wants to pass, but few prepare for. Because it demands discipline, persistence, humility to learn, and courage to apply. Those who don't understand this may acquire great sums but won't sustain abundance. Money doesn't change anyone, it just reveals the truth that was already hidden. The question is, what would wealth reveal about you? Did you know that about 95% of the thoughts we have today are the same ones we had yesterday? If you don't change your thinking, you'll keep recreating the same reality every day, trapped in an endless cycle. Most people don't realize they live on autopilot, repeating patterns, behaviors, and beliefs inherited from childhood, family, or society. Even desiring different results, they remain stuck in the same place. I remember when I first read Think and Grow Rich. Those pages moved me like nothing before. It was as if a curtain had been lifted from my eyes. What struck me most was realizing the Bible had been saying the same thing for centuries: be transformed by the renewing of your mind. External change always starts from within, and wealth can only appear when the mindset expands to accept it. Until then, I carried a self-image of failure, believing my destiny was to survive with mediocre jobs. But that book showed me I could reprogram my thoughts, and that's exactly what began to happen. Science proves this reality. Studies on neuroplasticity show that the brain has the capacity to remodel itself throughout life, creating new neural pathways from repeated thoughts and new habits. Just as a trail in a field becomes more defined each time it's walked, your brain also strengthens the thought patterns you use most. If you spend your days repeating, "I can't, it's not for me, I'll never have enough money," your mind creates fertile ground for scarcity. But if you insist on affirming, "I am worthy of abundance, I am capable of prospering, I have discipline and persistence," your mind begins to adjust to this new identity. Want a simple exercise? For the next 7 days, every morning, repeat aloud, "I am worthy of the abundance God has prepared for me." Say it looking in the mirror, even if it seems strange or false at first. What you're doing is creating a new neural pathway, weakening the old voice that said the opposite. I've tried this practice, and I can guarantee that over time, the mind aligns with the words. And when the mind changes, attitudes change, and results inevitably follow. Many people believe that success is reserved only for the most intelligent, for those who have been lucky or born into privileged families. But the truth is that everyone has the capacity to renew their thoughts. The difference lies in who decides to embrace this process daily. Unlocking your potential for prosperity isn't a matter of luck, it's a conscious choice, daily practice. Think of it like cultivating a garden. You weed out negative, limiting thoughts and plant seeds of abundance, nurturing them until they blossom. We've all been there, starting strong, only to slip back into old, comfortable habits. That's because our brains crave familiarity, even if it's detrimental. But each time you strive, persist, and reaffirm your true self, you weaken that ingrained pattern. It's like building muscle. It hurts at first, but consistent effort leads to strength. This mental resilience separates those who achieve abundance from those who remain stuck. It's not just about accumulating knowledge, it's about a fundamental shift in mindset. Dreaming of a different life isn't enough, you must actively align your thoughts with that vision every single day. Ancient wisdom and modern science converge on this truth: change your mind, and you inevitably change your world. Consider Andrew Carnegie. Born into humble beginnings, surrounded by hardship, he possessed an unwavering vision of his future self, a vision that ultimately transformed him into one of history's greatest industrialists and philanthropists. He started as a lowly textile worker, toiling long hours for meager pay, yet his mind was already building his empire. He didn't know how he'd achieve it, but the belief was unshakable. Carnegie didn't just amass incredible wealth, he became a living testament to the power of the mind. He understood that true wealth transcended money, it was a state of being. His life inspired Napoleon Hill's groundbreaking Think and Grow Rich, a book that's impacted millions. This proves that a steadfast vision, fueled by faith and discipline, can reshape not only your own life, but the lives of generations to come. Carnegie understood something crucial: your surroundings may seem limiting, but your inner vision unlocks possibilities. Instead of focusing on his difficult circumstances, he cultivated thoughts of prosperity, saw abundance where others saw scarcity. He attracted the right people and opportunities because that's the power of positive focus. You attract what you consistently think about. I've seen it countless times. Ordinary people with limited resources have built extraordinary lives because they held onto a clear vision until it manifested. The difference between dreamers and achievers isn't talent or luck, it's the relentless focus on the goal, even when things get tough. Vision precedes achievement, always. A vivid mental picture of your desired future acts as a magnet, drawing in the resources, ideas, and people you need. Carnegie's story shows it doesn't matter where you start, it matters what you choose to see. What seemed impossible for that young factory worker became inevitable because he chose to cultivate a vision of abundance, and that vision guided him until the impossible bowed to his will. Abundance isn't accidental, it's cultivated. It begins as a clear vision, sustained by faith and the daily discipline of renewing your thoughts and beliefs. When you understand that your reality is a reflection of your inner world, you take control and direct your energy towards what you want to create. Thanks for joining me. The next video in this series is ready. Click and take another step forward, becoming a slightly better version of yourself. I'll see you there.